Holy dooly. Hello, folks. Good morning. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. I'm a plant nerd. This is the habitat gardening variation of the bird emergency. And what we do in habitat gardening is talk about gardening for wildlife, building a garden, selecting plants, some of the things that any garden needs that will provide a wonderful place that, oh, no, I don't want to do that now. Sorry. Oh, just had an update on my computer that just threw me off. So, very, very simple today. Maybe like some of you, I've been a bit distracted in the last few days. Um, one with the course that I'm doing, which haven't really talked about, but I am learning how to be an English teacher to teach English as a second language, and it was pretty full on day yesterday for that. And then, of course, politics stuff. It's very depressing in the middle of an election, plus other crazy stuff going on. So all I do want to do today is say hello and ask you what your favourite plant is in your wildlife garden, in your habitat garden, and share why. Why is it your favourite? Uh, so that's it. That's what I want to do today. I want to find out what you are interested in sharing about your garden. And hello, Twitch. Good morning, Twitch. Good morning, Facebook as well. Welcome along. The other thing I love to know is where you are in the world. I'm in Wurundjeri country, the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne in Victoria in Australia. Temperate zone for me. Oh, I got a fantastic email during the week. Somebody had watched a stream I did. Gee, it's a couple of years ago now. It might even be 3 or 4 years ago that I was regularly doing collabs with Dan from Plants Grow Here, and somebody emailed me about seeing one of the joint live streams that we did, or hearing. It might have been on Dan's podcast channel because I'm not sure Dan was doing video, and just asking about some recommendations for Queensland for the subtropical zone in Queensland. So it's always exciting. I love hearing from people, especially if they're finding what we're doing useful. So I don't have anything prepared for an in-depth today. So I really want questions or some comments. Your favourite plant in your habitat garden, or is there a plant that you really want to grow in your garden? Give us the habitat or the bird or insect or reptile attracting reason that you, or bat attracting reason why you would like to grow a particular plant. I'll throw one in straight off the bat. I used to have Grevillea leucopterus growing when I lived in Gippsland, and I really want to get a couple of Grevillea leucopterus growing here in containers here in Melbourne, because they throw up these really long flower spikes and they have a white terminal large flower head, typical Grevillea style, and they're really fragrant. Some people find the fragrance a little bit sickly sweet, but they were really, really, really attractive for moths and other insects. Birds loved them as well. I don't think the birds were attracted for the for the fragrance, but obviously the moths really got into the fragrance. So that would be perhaps the one that's highest on my list. But I really want to try some of the subtropical grevilleas that are so striking to look at and that the birds just love. But they've got to be in containers in my place. So I think we've been over that many times before. So, feel like I'm on my own this morning. Feel like I'm on my own. Maybe I am. So let's see. It does sometimes take ages for these notifications to get out there. Facebook and Twitch, join in. Join in. There's absolutely. I'm wondering whether it's Glenn on Facebook this morning out in Western Sydney at the Botanic Gardens. And there we go, right on cue. There we are, Glenn, out in Australian Botanic Gardens, Mount Annan. Cooler but sunny here. All good. Australian hobby and golden whistler. Yeah, there's lots of whistlers about, especially young having successfully fledged and left the nest. Favourite in the garden is the waratahs. Birds like the nectar and great to photograph, obviously. Now, that's a favourite in your garden, Glenn. And I know it's a difficult one when you say so much in the garden, so many. It's hard to pick a favourite. I certainly have that. My other favourite was, I think I've mentioned this many times before too, was the Eucalyptus leucoxylon and the cultivar or the selection called Gulwa Gem. And I really loved that in my garden because it was compact. It had a sort of dense form, but it flowered for a very long period. And I think, I mean, this is pretty subjective, but just from my thoughts were that it was far more floriferous, many more flowers than most of the other forms. And because it was so long flowering, I actually think, I never took any notes about this, but I actually think it sort of had two peak flowering periods because it was in flower for so much of the year. Yeah, I'd like to get that. I'd like to get that going again, but I don't think I've got a container that would be big enough for that one. Yeah. So, Glenn, what's the highlight? What's out in flower in the gardens now, or are the waratahs out in force at the moment? I know you might be walking around and find it difficult to type, but give it a crack. And I'd really love the Twitch lurker to pop in and say hello too. That would be good. All right, Glenn says both red and white are flowering in the garden. The birdsong banksias. Birdsong banksias. What are the birdsong banksias? 20 birdsong banksia. I don't know the birdsong banksia. I'm going to look up that common name. That's I know a lot about banksias. Hybrid birdsong. Okay, so that is looks like a Banksia ericifolia. Okay. So I wonder what it's I'm going to guess that that is an Ericifolia and Banksia colina, or Banksia spinulosa hybrid. Kind of, yeah, it's definitely an Ericifolia. Pretty good one. That's a ripper. Uh, Actually, let me see if I can share that so people can see what I'm talking about. Found it, of course, on share screen. I need to share a screen. See a hybrid bird song. There we go. There we are. That's the Banksia hybrid bird song. Looks very much like Banksia um, giant candles. A smaller growing Banksia though, so only at 2 metre height. I guess that is very, 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 very similar. Good on you, Angus, for your input there. Let me just get back to the right. Back to me. What's Glenn got? A recent hybrid. A lot of nurseries are now stocking them and fast growing, plenty of flower. Got 4 of them. Well, that might be why they preferred to the perhaps giant candles, because giant candles is quite slow to get to size and to flower. I'll look out for that. Glenn, if you see any that are available anywhere up your neck of the woods in tube stock, send me a private message and we might do something about those. Hello, YouTube. Nice of you to join in. Couple of things we want to talk about today. I want to know your favourite plant in the garden. Glenn, did you tell me your favourite? I don't think you actually told me your favourite. So tell me 2 things, Glenn. Your favourite in the Botanic Gardens out there at Mount Annan, and your favourite at home. And I know it can be very hard to pick, but give it a crack. I don't mind if you want to have a few favourites. I've certainly got my favourites go. I'm always adding favourites. For years, kangaroo paws were my favourites, but that was before I was thinking much more about the broader habitat provision for different species. Whereas a plant like the kangaroo paws is not really a plant you build around. They're a plant that you add in when you have the structure, the skeleton of your habitat garden already built. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure I'm not telling fibs. Yes, you didn't actually commit to a favourite, Glenn. So I'm going to have to get you back on that. I also am I'm very, very partial to ground covers too, and depending on the time of the year and the here we go. Oh, thanks, Glenn. Glenn's given his favourite. Favourite at home is the red Waratah. And the favourite in the gardens at present is Banksia menziesii, one of the rippers. I think people will know the. I'll bring up some pictures of that. Much easier to. Have you got the dwarf form, Glenn? I'll bring up a photo if I can of the dwarf form. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh no, there's a better one. Hold on just a sec. Share this page. Oh, it's a bit of a. With me. There we are, folks. That's the flower of Banksia menziesii. Yeah, I really like that one. Quite adaptable. I grew it easily in Gippsland, along with uh, Hookerana and Burdettii and Victoriae. Um, Many of the Banksias that are really stunning and that people lust after are actually quite easy to grow as long as you can give them a sandy, free draining soil. They do not like to sit in water. They're very prone to rot around the roots, and very, very phosphorus sensitive. So really important that you don't feed them. That you don't feed them anything but a native slow release fertilizer. Some of them will handle a bit of dynamic lifter, but people tend to go over the top on that. I would only feed my West Australian Banksias with a slow release Australian native fertilizer. Glenn says the one I want to grow next spring is the Sturt Desert Pea. Yeah, you've had them growing in hanging basket years ago. Now that is what I would recommend, Glenn. Or if you have raised beds, I would pop them in. You treat them as an annual. I would be raising them from seed and progressively sowing the seeds, because they are quite adaptable once they get going. But yeah, you just treat them as an annual. Fantastic cascading, full sun definitely. Keep them away from cold winds. The one problem I found with them when I was growing them, and I used to grow them like I would grow 30, 40, 50 at a time. If I had enough hanging baskets and I could time it right to have them in flower for like a holiday weekend, I would get as many as I could going at once. I did sometimes find that they would get collar rot or damping off maybe at surface level. So they were tricky. They were tricky to maintain in a hanging basket if you had wind to keep them moist enough, but not too moist. I had success with them in like the traditional hanging basket with a coconut mat. Also, plastic hanging baskets with a saucer, but also the self-watering hanging baskets. They all did well, and in a variety of different potting mixes. I found they would perform in just a standard potting mix. It didn't have to be the native mix. So I just used to buy a pretty cheap potting mix and mix in and mix in some special ingredients, I guess. Um, yeah, I used to use well-rotted compost and also make put in some extra gravel to make it quite a sharp potting mix. If people know what I mean, very sharp draining. Yeah, and Glenn makes mention of that they do self-sow. I mean, they are quite easy to get going. Um, I would like to try the white variety. I never got the white variety. It was always on my to-do list. So that would be something I would like to go. So, so the red Banksia is your red Waratah is your favourite. Glenn, why? That's the hard part of the question. Why is it your favourite apart from any of the others that you have going? I'm just seeing if we're getting any comments on Twitter or YouTube today. Sorry, just having I backed out on my leaving Twitter because I think while the election campaign is on, I think it's important to kind of keep being there. There's so much rubbish coming out on the socials in election time. So yeah, we keep going there. I might throw into today at about 1:00 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We'll get the not just another podcast politics show. So I'll be streaming today and tomorrow. With that, Glenn says red is the favourite purely from a photograph point, as they make great images when processed up. And because they have those terminal flowers, Glenn, you get the opportunity to have the honey eater landing on top and feeding and giving you some good looks at their undercarriage and maybe the tops of their heads that you don't normally get when you're photographing birds, I'm going to guess. You can tell me if that's just me making that up, but yeah, that would be my one of the reasons that I like the Waratahs. I like the Waratahs because also from the dramatic contrast between the dark green foliage and the bright red flower heads, and of course the flower heads being so big. If you're watching this and you're wondering what we're talking about, we did do a bit of a deep dive into growing Waratahs. It's actually a couple of months ago now. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know how long I can keep talking if we're not getting questions and comments coming in so much this morning. I hope people enjoyed the Banksia show last week. I'll be up. I'm in the process at the moment too. All of the old Habitat Gardening streams are all about to be uploaded to the Habitat Gardening YouTube channel, and I'll put them all up there as videos, but all the live streams will remain on the Bird Emergency, just so people don't have to keep finding new places. But my idea is very much to build out a second channel with the Habitat Gardening, and I'm going to put put up all of the old streams where we talked a lot about hollows and um, I think I did. I can't remember if it was 50 or 100 plants for little brown birds. There was some pretty cool. There was some pretty cool streams we did back then. And Glenn says, definitely, if anyone has driven into the Botanic Gardens here, as I drive in, they have a shot of mine, 3 red waratahs in a vertical stack with a rainbow lorikeet sitting on top. So one of the first things you see as you drive in. That's great. I should mention, if you're new to the habitat gardening part of the bird emergency, Glenn's a photographer of some renown, certainly held in high esteem by myself. And I talked to Glenn about his photography in an episode of Photography Friday. And we also did a bit of a deep dive into Glenn's own Habitat Garden. So the Habitat Garden episode will make its way over onto the Habitat Gardening channel. But I'll promote all these things when they're a bit more up and going. I had wanted to do this yesterday, but with this course that I'm doing, it was a bit too much on this week. But bird trivia, and I'm also going to do a garden or plant trivia, is coming next week on the Discord, the Bird Emergency Discord. You can find that. If you've never heard of Discord, you don't know what it is, it's not scary, but it is an open source social media, kind of a social media thing, but it's also a platform where you can have conversations and we can do video shows, a lot of things. And I'm trying to find ways to get more and more away from the corrupted algorithms that we're using on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. I mean, Blue Sky is great, but the interactivity is still not as good as I would like. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that if you go to thebirdemergency.com/Discord, that should take you to the link. It should serve as an invite for you. If you have any dramas, just hit me up on any of the socials or send me a message on YouTube. Just put a comment if you like. I'll find it. And if you're having a drama, I will endeavour to get a personal invite to you. But thebirdemergency.com/Discord, I believe, should take you there. Yeah, so Glenn, well, thank you for those comments. I'm not getting any gardening questions this morning. So that's what we're here for on a Saturday morning. Gardening Q&A. I'm probably going to have to start hitting up Instagram again, aren't I? Letting people know. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. But we'll just keep it going. Anything else you would like to bring up, Glenn? While I'm here, I really do need to get some background music, I think, for these chats. I'm still not happy completely with the platform that I'm using, so we might keep investigating that. The only reason I don't do it on the one platform I really do want to use is it's harder to highlight and share people's comments. But we might just keep playing around with it. Let's see. What have we got here? Just seeing if there's any comments on Twitter. All right, folks. That's going to be it, I reckon. Appreciate you, Glenn, popping in your thoughts and comments today. Remember, we're here every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. Next week, it will be Australian Eastern Standard Time as daylight time finishes tonight. Here we go. Maybe we've got a big delay on. I don't know. Glenn says, all good here. The home garden is looking great after the rain. All filling out and acting as habitat now. All going well. Glenn, tell me what, just before we wrap up, since your garden is now doing what you originally wanted it to do, which was to form some good habitat in the neighbourhood. Now, you mentioned you've got rainbow lorikeets. What's any new birds been visiting your garden, or anything else? Like, are you getting new insects coming in? Tell us what you've noticed has changed in the last little while. Probably over a year since we had a bit of a deep discussion about your garden. What's visiting, or what's taken up residence? And I want to give a bit of a shout out this morning to all the people who have been working to raise awareness about the migrating birds, mostly in the northern hemisphere, or the birds that are migrating along the pathways in the northern hemisphere, Asia, Africa, North American corridor, North and South American corridor, Southeast Asian flightway. Less significant here in Australia, these regular migrations, but for everyone who is trying to raise awareness about keeping your lights off at night, it's really important. It can disorient birds, can cause them to expend a lot more energy than they need to. And the other thing that always kills millions of birds on the annual migration is bird strike into windows. So for all the people who are doing everything they can to reduce those casualties and those mortalities, good on you. And God, can people just stop eating up all the rubbish, out there, the anti-conservation rubbish. I know I don't need to tell anyone in this audience that, but it's frustrating, isn't it? To see so much rubbish out there. Just seeing if there's any more good conservation news or comments in my Twitter feed and my Blue Sky feed this morning. Not really. Apart from Dr. Dave Watson's fantastic morning post. Glenn, that's a good one. You got the blue-banded bees coming into the garden. That's great. It's great to see native insects coming in. Has anyone seen the news reports? I saw one yesterday, and I'll talk about it on the stream this afternoon on Not Just Another Podcast. Not Just Another Podcast.com/YouTube, by the way, if you want to find that. They have such a dearth of honeybees in North America this year, and they're not sure what's causing it. I don't know whether it's habitat change that is causing it or some other reason. That scientists are actually now openly, this is ag scientists as well as entomologists, are basically saying within a couple of seasons, the US may not be able to feed itself. And to give you an idea, they were analysing the almond crop, and at the moment they get 2,000 pounds, I think it was, per acre on almond crops, and they said that will come back to 1 to 200 pounds of almonds per acre. You know, that is massive. And if you model that across all of the agricultural crops, it can be very, very serious. So it'd be nice if people took insects a little bit more seriously at the moment. So blue-banded bees, satin bowerbirds. You've told us about your satin bowerbirds before. I know that. Yeah, she had a bower there. Brush turkey for a couple of days. Yeah, not so common your end of Sydney. Yeah, because there's just not that density of foliage, and I guess not those sort of gullies in so much of Western Sydney that a lot of the eastern suburbs and the hills district have got. I'm guessing. Not so common. Eastern spinebills, that's great. Have you got crescent honeyeaters and yellow-faced honeyeaters in your in the garden, Glenn? Asking about them because they're a seasonal migrant here. You used to get them in summer in Gippsland. I wonder if they are resident in your garden in summer or whether they are just coming back about this time of the year. That's the kind of discussions we love to have here on Habitat Gardening. God, there's so much bad news around, isn't there? Really trying hard to keep the smiles up at the moment. Just unbelievable what is going on. But I'll keep that out of the gardening commentary today. Just stick around for another minute or two more and see if Glenn wants to tell me about his honeyeaters, whether he's got some yellow-faced honeyeaters or some crescent honeyeaters or maybe some of the white-naped honeyeaters around. Glenn says, no yellow-faced or crescent. Does have yellow-faced in the Botanic Gardens, but not crescent in the Botanic Gardens. That's interesting. Is there a section in the gardens, Glenn, that has been developed to be like a heathland, like a low heathland? Because I think that's certainly the kind of places that I used to see the crescent honeyeater in Gippsland. I didn't really see it in what we would call woodland or open woodland or dry sclerophyll forest sort of spots. Interesting. I've got to dive more into that. I guess another update too. I've been sending out a lot of requests for interviews for the bird emergency, but not getting many takers at the moment. So we'll just keep going. I'm wondering whether the bird emergency may have run its course. I'm not sure. We'll just keep plugging away and seeing if we can get some more new voices into the show. A bit tired of just hearing my own voice at the moment. Yeah. All right. Well. Okay, well, I reckon that's going to be about it, folks. Thanks for joining me again this morning, Glenn, or your comments. Uh, I hope if you're catching this up at a later date, you can always let me know if there's something you would like me to cover in a bit more depth, or if you can't join live and you would like to submit a question, that's cool. Um, Hit me up on preferred social, Blue Sky, or of course comments in the YouTube on the YouTube videos, Facebook as well. But Facebook will be disappearing. Don't worry. Just do, if you're using Facebook, do try and move over to YouTube or to Twitch, because that's where it's all happening. So Glenn says yes, they do have a low heathland area in the Banksia Garden with Grevillea and Banksia and certain beds and below. Also an area in the Connections Garden area. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Glenn. You too. I must make a trip up and get to the get back to the Botanic Gardens. I must work on that, make that happen, and also come and catch up with Ricky and do a few other things. Hey. All right, folks. Thank you. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd, also a plant nerd. I am a horticulturist. This has been Habitat Gardening on the Bird Emergency. Do make sure you are subscribed to birdemergency.com/YouTube, no matter where you're watching. Try and make that your preferred platform. That's where most of it's going to be happening. All right, folks. See ya.